Marcus wiped the grease from his hands, the scorching Arizona sun beating down on his weathered face as he worked beneath the hood of a broken-down sedan on the roadside. 23 years he'd been fixing cars, 23 years of honest work. And still, there were those who looked at him and saw nothing but the color of his skin. The police cruiser pulled up with a screech of tires, dust swirling in the desert air. Officer Bradley stepped out, his face already twisted with that familiar sneer Marcus had seen too many times before. "What do you think you're doing here, boy?" The word hung in the air like poison. Marcus straightened up slowly, his voice calm despite the fire building in his chest. "Just helping this lady with her car, officer. Engine overheated about a mile back." But Bradley wasn't listening. He was already circling like a predator, his hand resting on his belt. "I don't remember asking for your life story. You got a permit to run a business on the side of my highway?" The elderly woman whose car Marcus was fixing stepped forward, her voice shaking. "Officer, please, this man was just—" "Ma'am, step back. I'm handling this." Bradley's voice boomed across the empty desert road. "This individual was probably trying to rob you blind. These people, they see a broken-down car. They see opportunity." Marcus felt his jaw clench, but he kept his hands visible, kept his voice steady. He'd been through this dance before. "Sir, I own Thompson's Auto Repair in town. Been there for over 2 decades. I don't care if you own the whole—" "Damn town!" Bradley exploded, stepping closer, his face red with rage. "You look like trouble to me, and trouble doesn't belong on my roads." The confrontation was escalating fast, too fast. Bradley's hand moved toward his weapon, and Marcus felt that cold, familiar fear creep up his spine. The same fear his father had taught him about. The same fear that had kept their family walking on eggshells for generations. But then, something changed. A low rumble echoed across the desert, growing louder by the second. Military vehicles appeared on the horizon, their convoy stretching as far as the eye could see. Humvees, transport trucks, and in the center, a command vehicle flying a general's flag. Bradley glanced nervously at the approaching convoy, but didn't back down. If anything, he seemed to puff up his chest, as if performing for an audience. "Yeah, that's right. Keep those hands where I can see them. I don't care who's watching." The convoy slowed, then stopped. The command vehicle's door opened with authority, and out stepped a figure that made the desert air itself seem to stand at attention. General Patricia Hayes, 3 stars gleaming on her uniform, her presence commanding respect from 50 yards away. She walked with purpose, her boots crunching on the gravel, her eyes taking in the scene with the sharp assessment of someone who'd commanded thousands of soldiers across multiple theaters of war. Behind her, a younger officer followed, his face growing pale as he recognized something Officer Bradley clearly didn't. "Officer," General Hayes's voice cut through the tension like a blade, "is there a problem here?" Bradley turned, still drunk on his own authority. "Nothing I can't handle, ma'am. Just dealing with a suspicious individual who—" "Marcus Thompson." The general's voice wasn't a question. It was recognition. Marcus looked up, confusion flickering across his face. How did this woman know his name? The general stepped closer, her eyes never leaving Marcus's face. "Gunnery Sergeant Marcus Thompson, 2nd Battalion, 1st Marines, served 3 tours in Afghanistan. Purple Heart recipient. The man who single-handedly kept our convoy running for 6 months when every mechanic in the unit had been wounded or killed." The desert fell silent except for the wind whistling through the rocks. Officer Bradley's face drained of all color. Marcus straightened, the weight of old memories flooding back. "Ma'am, Yes, ma'am? General Hayes turned to Bradley, and when she spoke, her voice could have frozen hell itself. This man saved more American lives with a wrench and a toolbox than most people do in a lifetime. He kept our brothers and sisters alive when the world was falling apart around us. And you dare to treat him like a criminal? Bradley stumbled backward, his authority crumbling like sand. I didn't know. I was just— You were just what? Doing your job? The general's eyes blazed. Your job is to protect and serve all citizens, not to terrorize war heroes because of the color of their skin. She turned back to Marcus, her expression softening. Sergeant Thompson, I heard through the grapevine that you'd opened a garage after your discharge. Heard you were the best mechanic in 3 counties. Marcus nodded, his voice thick with emotion. Yes, ma'am. Just trying to make an honest living. The same way you made an honest difference overseas. She extended her hand. It's an honor to see you again, Sergeant. As they shook hands, Officer Bradley stood there, humiliated, his prejudice exposed under the unforgiving desert sun. The elderly woman whose car Marcus had been fixing watched with tears in her eyes, finally understanding she'd witnessed something truly special. General Hayes looked around at her convoy, then back at Marcus. Sergeant, my lead transport is making some concerning noises. Think you could take a look? Marcus smiled for the first time that day, grabbing his tools. Yes, ma'am. It would be my honor. And as Marcus Thompson walked toward that military convoy, his head held high, Officer Bradley learned a lesson that would stay with him forever. Never judge a person's worth by the color of their skin, because you never know when you might be staring at a hero who's already proven their valor in ways you could never imagine. Sometimes justice doesn't come from a courtroom. Sometimes it comes from the desert wind, carrying the truth of who we really are.